Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a massive question. How do you actually build a country? Not just with ideas, but with laws. We're going to dive deep into the very first articles of India's constitution, the foundational blueprint that legally define the nation's land and its people.
So let's just try to put ourselves in that moment. It's 1947. Independence has been won. But now you're faced with this huge, monumental task. What legally makes this new nation India? This wasn't some philosophical debate. It needed a very precise, legal answer, and it needed one fast.
So how did the framers even begin to answer that? Well, they broke that giant question down into two slightly less giant parts. First, what exactly is our land? What are the boundaries? And second, who gets to be called a citizen? Who are our people? These first 11 articles are all about answering those two core questions.
Okay, so first up, the land. Let's dig into how Articles 1 through 4 literally drew the map of India.
Right off the bat, Article 1 uses this very specific, very deliberate phrase, a union of states. Now, it doesn't say a federation, and that's not just a word choice, it's a huge legal statement. It means the states are part of an indivisible whole. They can't just decide to leave. There is no right to secede.
So while a state can't leave the union itself, through Parliament, has this incredible power to change the country's internal map. Article 3 lays out how it works. You can create new states, change borders, even rename them. Now, the state that's being changed gets to share its opinion. But, and this is the kicker, Parliament doesn't have to listen. The final say rests with the central government.
And all of that leads to this really powerful phrase that perfectly sums up the whole idea. India is an indestructible union of destructible states. The union itself, the nation of India, is permanent, it's indestructible. But the states inside it, their boundaries can be changed, redrawn, and reorganized by Parliament as needed.
Now, here's what makes this power so practical. Article 4 makes it super clear that redrawing a state's borders is not a big, complicated constitutional amendment. It can be done with a simple majority in Parliament, just like a regular law. This was designed for flexibility, to allow the country to adapt and reorganize over time without massive constitutional hurdles.
All right, so the territory is defined, the map is drawn. Now for that second fundamental question. Who are the people? Who, on day one, was officially a citizen of this new nation?
Okay, this is a really vital point to understand. Articles 5 through 10 weren't meant to be the citizenship rules forever. They were a practical solution to a unique, chaotic moment in history. Think of them as a snapshot, designed to figure out who was a citizen on one specific day, January 26, 1950, right after the incredible turmoil of partition.
So, to solve that immediate problem, the Constitution laid out a few clear pathways to citizenship. It basically came down to things like, where did you live? Were you or your parents born here? And, very importantly, had you moved to India because of the partition?
And you can really see how the law was tailored to the reality of partition right here. The rules were different depending on which way you moved. Article 6 gave a path to citizenship for people who migrated from Pakistan to India. But Article 7 said that if you went the other way, if you moved to Pakistan after a certain date, you generally lost your claim to being an Indian citizen. And right from the very beginning, one principle was made crystal clear in Article 9. If you voluntarily go and become a citizen of another country, you're no longer a citizen of India. Plain and simple, the Constitution did not allow for dual citizenship.
Okay, so let's tie this all together, because we've talked about the snapshot in time, but the framers also had to think about the future. And that brings us to the most important takeaway from this whole section.
This is it. This is the key that unlocks everything that comes after, Article 11. After using all the previous articles to sort out the immediate mess of 1950, the framers used this one to hand over the keys to the future. It gives Parliament the complete and total power to make any new laws about citizenship it wants. This single article is the foundation for every citizenship law passed in India since then.
So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, these articles, written decades ago, are anything but history. The power to redraw the map and the power to define who belongs, these are living, breathing powers that are still at the center of huge debates in India today. They force every new generation to grapple with the same fundamental question the founders did. What does it mean to be India?